million a year to do that. And so if you're looking big picture here, if the Vikings do trade him, yes, it's going to hurt their depth at cornerback. It's going to take a starter out of the lineup and move somebody up, whether that's Mike Hughes or Holton Hill or any other guy that may, be out there that's not on the team right now. But, that would also give them that $9 million back in the salary cap, which could be useful in signing another free agent that might still be out there, signing a kicker for a little more than they would have been able to offer. They could even perhaps find somebody that's willing to trade Waynes for a quality starting offensive lineman. And I think that has to be of interest. In my mind, Mike Zimmer is very interested in keeping his defense together, but it's got to be Rick Spielman making the call here and saying, we got to do what's best for the overall team, both this year and long term. So I don't know how serious the trade offers have been for Waynes, but it's pretty clear that there's been some interest around the league. It's just a matter of how strong is that interest.
Matt Khalil released by the Panthers. So those of us who thought he was pretty much on his way out of the league were not incorrect.
No, he was such a strange case because he had such a good rookie year for the Vikings, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was just wasn't really. To me, he never seemed as a guy like a guy that was super into football or really willing to work hard to become what his potential showed. And despite him going down to the Panthers, playing with his brother, then his brother retires after this last season, and now all of a sudden Matt's released from the Panthers. I'm not surprised that he's gone from the Panthers. I almost wonder, though, if he's just done with his career because, he's made good money, and I'm not sure that he's a guy that has to play football into his mid or late 30s. So I wouldn't be too shocked if a month or two from now we find out, okay, he's just retiring.
Continuing with former Vikings, now former Vikings, Sheldon Richardson signs a 3-year deal, $37 million, $21 million guaranteed with the Browns. That's too rich for the Vikings' blood, and the Browns are going for it, obviously.
Yeah, the Browns have signed so many people and made the trade for Odell Beckham Jr. And, there's just a ton of hype around that team right now. But, it always seems to work out this way. The teams that are super, super aggressive in free agency just don't seem to live up to the potential. And now all of a sudden the Browns are supposed to go from a sub 500 team to, a deep playoff contender with all this pressure on them and, still a young quarterback in Baker Mayfield. I'm not sure it's going to be an immediate turnaround where they make it happen, but I do like the fact that finally one of the dregs of the league is becoming a legitimate storyline around the league and kind of one of those lovable loser franchises over the past few decades could become a contender for years to come. I'm just not sure it's going to happen this year.
Well, they're going to be exciting, and I think they're going to score points, whether they make the playoffs or not, whether they win a playoff game, I don't know, but I'm glad to see it. I think they're going to be fun, and I'll take that out of Cleveland right now. Teddy Bridgewater, interesting decision to stay with the Saints on a 1-year contract.
Yeah, and to me, it almost tends to smell of Drew Brees could be done after this year and has probably indicated that internally. Otherwise, I don't see why Bridgewater would go back to the Saints. I think he had an opportunity to be with the Dolphins and and work for that starting job. And now the Dolphins have traded Tannehill away. So I think that would have opened up for Teddy to make a legitimate shot to start with the Dolphins and, honestly be in his hometown. And we talked about this a month ago. All the Florida teams really kind of need quarterbacks. And I thought that Bridgewater would have ended up signing with either Jacksonville or with Miami. And as it turns out, I think he had a shot to sign with Miami and decided to just go back to New Orleans. And this is one of those where I think it was a really tough decision for him, especially given the fact that his mother is back in Miami still, and he would have been really close to home. But I got to believe that Drew Brees has indicated either to the organization or maybe just the Bridgewater that, look, this is probably it. This is probably my last run. And after that, it could be Bridgewater's team.
I would love to see that. I think it would be really fun to see Teddy back starting with a capable team and a good offense. I hope that happens. Latavius Murray also going to be with the Saints. Another good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Murray was another one of the locker room favorites when he was in Minnesota. This one was interesting to me that, they went with Latavius Murray while Mark Ingram was still a possibility for them. But Murray, when he was still here, said he wanted to be at a place where he had a shot to start. Well, he's not going to start in New Orleans very much without Kamara, but he may end up getting a little bit more opportunity there than he would here if Dalvin Cook is healthy for a full season. But we haven't seen that yet. And so if the money would have been the same as New Orleans was offering, I think he would have returned to the Vikings. Problem is the Vikings just couldn't afford that with their salary cap situation.
Absolutely not. Let's buzz through some other names here. Tom Johnson, Trevor Siemian, Aldrick Robertson, Tom Compton, Brett Jones, George Aloka, Marcus Sherrills are still unsigned. Who has the best chance of being back with the team?
Oh, I think Johnson's a possibility, and I think Siemian would be a possibility too if they can find the money. And Siemian, I say that mostly because of the relationship that he's had with Gary Kubiak in Denver. And so I think that would be a natural fit. But I'm just not sure that that's really any better of a backup situation than Kyle Sloter could be. I mean, Sloter has been around now this will be his third year. And I think that it's time for them to find out, can he be a number 2 quarterback, or is he always going to be this guy that has great size, some athleticism, decent arm, and never really kind of lives up to that spot of being able to ascend to a number 2 quarterback. So if they believe in Sloter as a number 2, then there's no reason to re-sign Siemian. But it's pretty clear that there is a strong relationship between Kubiak and Siemian, and whether that trumps any feelings they may have on Sloter, we'll have to see. But given their financial situation, I'm not sure that you want to pour too much more into that quarterback position than you already have there.
Let's buzz through the NFC North really quickly and wrap up the show. Thanks again to Twill in the Edina Galleria. Bite Squad, promo code is TALKNORTH for your first delivery free. And Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, Hoaglund. Chicago, Cordarrelle Patterson. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it gives them that returner that they've been missing since the Devin Hester days, that's for sure. So, yeah, I think it makes sense for them given, their receiver situation. They can use him as a number 3 guy. It's a 2-year, $10 million contract, which is probably right about where Patterson should be given the different things that he can do. as long as you use him correctly, I think it's a fair contract. If you're just using him as a kick returner or trying to get him to be an overall receiver who knows how to run routes and read defenses and all that, then you might be barking up the wrong tree. But if you've got the right situation, definitely, I think it's a good move by the Bears, and they're kind of in that go for it mode right now with some of their signings over the last couple of years and the momentum that they built up last year, especially after the Khalil Mack trade.
The Bears also bring in Clinton-Dix, quarterback Buster Skrine, running back Mike Davis, guard Ted Larson. The Packers, meanwhile, add a couple linebackers, then safety Adrian Amos, Bill Turner, and the Lions go out and get Trey Flowers, the best player acquired by any of these teams, but on a huge deal, and cornerback Justin Coleman, Jesse James, Danny Amendola, and guard Ode Abushi. Who impresses you out of the North right now?
Well, Chicago, I think, is still kind of that team to beat, but I really do like what Green Bay has done in saying, okay, we're kind of done with Nick Perry and Clay Matthews. Let's go out and get a couple outside pass rushing linebackers. And they got, two of maybe the top five available pass rushers out there with Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that defense looks now that they got a couple of legit guys who probably can stay healthy better than Nick Perry and Clay Matthews were. And, Adrian Amos is a good safety too. So I think they've really upgraded the defense. Now, what are the playmakers around for Aaron Rodgers? That part we're going to still have to see.
It's going to be fascinating. I still don't know exactly how the Vikings are going to get their offensive line in shape in time for this season, but they still have time. They can still fill it. They can still bring in a functional free agent, I guess, but it really feels like they're going to have to do it through the draft.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's going to have to be the main spot. Most of those top guys, probably the top 7, I would say, guards and centers out there have already signed elsewhere. And at this point, it's like, okay, you can bring back Nick Easton, and I would support that decision. I think that's the right decision, but that was only one piece of it. I think you would have been better off. You bring back Nick Easton and you sign another guard and you draft a guy that could maybe supplant one of those two or just be there for depth in the future. So they're on very shaky ground right now with that offensive line. But Rick Spielman seems to be putting faith in Gary Kubiak, an offensive line coach, Rick Dennison, saying, okay, these are 2 new guys that come in and give us new opinions and new ways of coaching that they can coach people up to play to that level. But that's a gamble. You don't know that for sure. And especially if you're going to bring in a rookie and expect 1 or 2 rookies to help protect your $28 million quarterback, it's a roll of the dice, and it's a risky proposition in my mind.
Thanks to Tim. Thanks to Brandon. Thanks to Twill in the United Galleria, Bite Squad, BiteSquad.com, and Tony Hoaglund. We'll be back next week as we continue to track developments with the Vikings in the NFL offseason. Also check out the Jeff Diamond Show, and we appreciate everybody listening to TalkNorth.com.